Mark Shawzin, the pattern trader. It's Monday morning, and right now I'm short a bunch of Nasdaq stocks. I got a question if I'm still short Zoom, ticker symbol ZM. Yes, I am. I've been short Zoom for 3 weeks now. I started shorting Zoom at the price of $347, and we're trading a little bit above $310 right now. So I believe last week's low was 308. That's a multi-month low, and I think that Zoom has got just a huge level of price discovery to go under this 308, meaning that I think it's going to go a lot lower. So I'm still waiting for viewers to stream in, and be happy to answer any questions that you have. So Stefan says the stocks that Mark trades. So Mr. Bill says, "Hey, I just joined. Did I miss the S&P 500?" GK, how are you? Yeah, no, I didn't remark anything on the S&P 500 just yet, Mr. Bill. Let me take a look what's going on. As you guys know, I believe the markets are heading up for a huge price top right in this area. We're not too far away. The S&P looks like it's topped out at or near the 4,000 level. We made a key reversal last week, and we couldn't continue. So this week we just opened lower. We have an inside day bar right at the top of the range, right near that 4,000 resistance level in the S&P. And my gut tells me that we are hours away, days away from making a huge top in these indexes. I believe that the Nasdaq has already put in a major top, and that we're going to go much lower from here. Farron says, how do you think WRK will hold up if the market drops? So, Farron, that's a great question. So, I look at each stock or instrument on its own integrity. So, yeah, it's easy to say, well, if the market drops, this is going to drop. So I'm looking at the daily. And, yeah, right now it has had kind of a key reversal price action. Made a new high this morning at about 54. We're trading on the low. But I don't know. The way this thing closed on the weekly, I still want to keep an eye on this thing. I would be inclined to, buy the dips. But, we are in an area in the indexes where things are vulnerable. We have made a key reversal where when price goes, higher and then starts going lower through the unchanged, that's, price action. So I'm going to wait to see how we kind of close today, Ference. But it's true, right now I'm so bearish on the indexes that I have a hard time walking and chewing gum at the same time. So if I'm bearish on the indexes, I want to have things that are going to go with the momentum. And so that's why, to me, the biggest stock, I'm so comfortable. I keep adding to my position, short Zoom. So Zoom made an 8-month low on Friday. It went to $308, just a hair above 309. And then there was some kind of short covering right at the close. I mean, everything rallied. I think it was obviously a fake head fake. And Zoom went from $308 to $319. And I just sold more into there. And today we're back to 310. So we're back down to the 6-month lows. And now once we get under 308, 309, 310, there's nothing but air. There's like $100 like a vacuum that this thing's just going to get sucked into. I did a weekly video report yesterday. I called it NASDAQ quicksand, where all of these stocks like Tesla and, Peloton and Zoom are all trading on this neckline, on this ascending support line. And then once we pierce that support line. We're just going to get sucked down like quicksand. So to me, I just, keep on selling more Zoom. To me, it's just the biggest no-brainer. I also played around this weekend, or I bought some puts on Friday on AMC Theaters. The ticker symbol is AMC, and I'm actually thinking about shorting a whole bunch of stock. It's trading about $10. We made a high today at 1076, and right now we're right about unchanged on AMC. So I think that thing is going to go to zero, literally from $10 to at least $2. So I think there's an 80% move to be had on AMC on the downside. Mel says, what is your take on XAU USD? So I'm very bearish gold. I said all last week that, we had a bit of a reversal a few weeks ago that kept a bit of a support. But, we tapped at the $1,750 level, couldn't make it through there. Now we broke through 1729, which was under all of this congestion. All last week, we had a huge congestion range. And I said anything under 1730, this thing's going to break. And today we hit 1711. And so I think we're going to go and retest that 1671 level. We're going to probably go to at least 1650 on gold. So I think gold's going to go a lot lower. Seller says, do you think the ascending broadening pattern is still holding in dollar CAD? I don't remember an ascending broadening. I'll take a look at dollar CAD. So dollar CAD is in this, huge kind of wedge. We're at the upper end of that wedge. Dollar has been strengthening recently. I expect that strengthening to continue. The dollar CAD strength may continue a little bit more, but at some point, I'd be looking for a point to sell into. But I wouldn't fight it here. There's some support in the dollar, and I don't think that you'll see too much higher on dollar CAD, but it's not really something that I'm looking at right now. I've just really been focused like a dog with the bone on this NASDAQ. I think that, this NASDAQ, these stocks are right at a major high. And so, when I just see a setup like Zoom, I just play with one thing. I don't play all over the board. I'm long pound New Zealand. To me, that's a go to the bank trade. Even though we had a major reversal today, it was a reversal at a resistance level. And I'd be looking to add, pound New Zealand. And then I'm also short gold. So those are my three positions. I'm short NASDAQ, Zoom, short gold, and long pound New Zealand dollar. That's all I'm focusing on. So that's a good play, Rob. I might be looking at doing that too. I bought puts in AMC, but they expired this week, and that's the problem with puts. You need to be right, and then you need to be right away. So I have no doubt that I'm going to be right about this trade, and that's why I'm thinking about shorting the stock. It's just so dangerous being short these gamified stocks. But, Rob, I think that's a good play. I think you'll make money. Swim says, what are your thoughts about S&P? I think S&P is at a major top. Silver's at a major top. Crude oil's probably at a major top. Where's crude oil? I've been saying since that resistance level, why can't I find crude oil here? Here it is. I think, the 70 level was a major resistance for crude oil. And, I would just be, short for now. I don't think it's going to do much, but I'd rather be short than long. Scott says, what about the SQQQ? So, the NASDAQ has really been, covering up a whole host of sins. So the NASDAQ looks like it's kind of hanging together. It's just like 5% off the high. And that's because, 20% of the NASDAQ and the S&P is just comprised of 5 stocks. The FANG stocks, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. And those, are still okay. But it's mirrored up a whole, host of carnage that has already happened in the NASDAQ. I've been saying that the NASDAQ's going to get beat up, that these stocks are going to get beat up. And then you look at the NASDAQ and it looks like nothing's really happened. But if you look under the hood at Peloton, Zoom, QuantumScape, Tesla, or Snowflake, DoorDash. I mean, I could give you 50 stocks. They're all down 30 to 50%. So it looks like there's nothing really been going on with the NASDAQ. And so the SQQ tracks the NASDAQ. And so, nothing's been going on there. But there's been a whole bunch of carnage going on there. And I think, let me just look at the SQQs today. They obviously, mirror the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ's kind of holding up. So, SQQ's kind of holding in here. I would just hold this thing. Eventually, I think you're going to get paid. Why am I not getting my charts here? Sorry, I'm just opening up these charts. So for those of you who don't know, the SQQ is just a mirror opposite of the NASDAQ. So when the NASDAQ goes down, the SQQQ will go up. And since it's 3 times indexed, it'll actually go up 3 times as fast as the NASDAQ. So if the NASDAQ goes down 2%, the SQQQs will go up 6%. So I do believe that we're just putting in this bottom that's taking a long time. But, look, that's what happens when a market goes up forever, like the NASDAQ has the last 10 years, and certainly for the last year. It doesn't just turn around on a dime. And that's what's been happening. It's been this slow kind of turning process. And so I think you could buy the SQs here. They're close to $14. Put your stop at, like $12.50, and then don't even look at it. And you'll probably get a print of 19, 20, 21 on your SQs at some point. Oleg says, hey, Mark, greetings from Moscow. Looking forward to seeing NASDAQ 13,260 resistance on the level. So I always think of the NASDAQ in terms of the triple Q ETF. I can just quantify it easier. So to me, the resistance in the triple Qs are between 320 and 324. And we hit like 316 on Friday. Couldn't make any new high above there. And any close below 310 on the triple Qs, to my mind, will be a signal that this thing's going to start rolling over. And we're 313 right now, so we're not too far away from that. So I think that the NASDAQ is just bumping up against these resistance levels. But like I said, the NASDAQ is not the reality. If you look under the hood of the NASDAQ, there's been absolute carnage and detonation. I mean, I'm short Zoom right now, 300. I think the high was 100% higher than this. It was at, almost $600. So, Peloton's down from 170 to 100. Snowflake, 340 to 200. DoorDash, 240 to 130. So these NASDAQ stocks have already gotten collapsed. So nobody's really understanding that story. It's all being masked over by the stronger stocks like Facebook that are hanging in there. So I think eventually the NASDAQ's going to get kicked in. It's just going to get caved in. GK says, do you think it's okay to load up on gold? Well, when I say load up, I mean do what's within your capacity. But yeah, I think it's a no-brainer that we're going to go under 1,700 in gold. Russell says, what is your opinion on KO? I guess that's Coca-Cola. And look, that's a cyclical stock. So when, all goes awry and these other things, then the market runs into these defensive stocks like Coca-Cola. And, you get a good dividend yield while you're waiting. And so, it looks pretty good. And it looks, actually it looks pretty good. It looks like, what's happening is we're getting a giant rotation. So people are coming out of the growth stocks because of the high interest rates and going into the industrials and the cyclicals like KO. And so I think that rotation is going to keep happening. And so, yeah, I think that's a good play. Kirby says, what do you think of Twilio? I think even before I look at it, I'll know that it's going to get hurt. Yeah, I mean, this has got a huge double top on the weekly. It's made a new multi-week low right now at 309. Let me just look at the daily real quick. All of these NASDAQ, they all look the same. They all have a double top head and shoulders. They're all going to get punched in the face. So I would get out of that. Let's see, from 319 to 457 is about what, $120? Yeah, so this thing could go to $200 and it's trading at 300. So I would, get out or get short. Is that a head and shoulders? Yeah, it's a double top, head and shoulders, rounding top. It's got every word with the top in it. So you want to be out of these NASDAQ stocks as soon as you can. Don't walk, run to your broker and get the freak out of these things. Or if you're aggressive, get short. They've got nowhere to go but lower. So I'm looking at Zoom right now. 308 was the low last week. That was the all-time low for last year. We just hit 308 today. So we're going to, there's nothing but air under Zoom now. I think this stock goes to 150 bucks. It goes 50% lower than here. It's a no-brainer. It's the easiest trade on the board. But they all look like that. Twilio, pick your poison and get short. So Discovery Channel and Comcast got really hurt yesterday, last week. Cagri, hello from Singapore from MF. How you doing, MF? Let me know what it's like to live in Singapore. I'm looking to get out of the United States. Euro, so look for now says, how far will Euro US dollar go? So I've been short the Euro US dollar since the mid 119s. We're trading right now in the mid 117s, and I think we're going to go to at least that support low at around 116, if not lower. So there's a support at 116. We're trading at about 117 and a half. So I think we've got at least another 150 pips to go lower. I've been short since 119 and a half on Euro. Bill says, better, on your opinion, to buy QQ puts or buy SQQ calls or just sell the shares? So, I mean, SQQQ is already leveraged, Bill. It's already 3 times leverage. So whatever the NASDAQ goes down, the SQQQ will go up 3 times more. And if you want more leverage than that, then, that's your option. But I think, look, these markets look like they're going to get hurt. And, it's been a grinding thing. So, these option premiums, you make a fortune, then they disappear. Like Friday, I was short the 315s and 312 and a halves last week. I got out when the QQQs were 310. They went a little lower to about 308. It's kind of kicking myself that I didn't stay in longer. But within 10 minutes, these things went from 309 on Friday to 316. So, it's a lot of risk playing with these options. And but I think the risk is less and less. I'm just kind of waiting to see how today sorts out. But I haven't really. I've been playing the options for the last several weeks in the QQQs. I didn't load up today, and I probably should have, because I'll wait to see how we close today. It looks like we have an inside range bar today. And typically when you can't make progress, like Friday, you made this false rally and then you just stop there. And then today you have an inside bar. And that just tells me that you've got energy that is stalling out right at these highs. So the 316 to 320 is so much resistance now for the Qs. And so, I think that they're just in the process of rolling over. So I'll probably start buying some triple Qs just for the hell of it at some point today. So Michael wants to know about NEO. I haven't actually looked in that stock in a while, but yeah, that's history too. It made a triple top at 66. It's got a head and shoulders. It's sitting on this ledge, this neckline at 35. And then there's just air under there from 35. So if you look at all of the EV plays, have been busted. F-Cell, Plug Power, they're all 50% off their highs. So that EV play, Tesla, is off 40% from its highs. So these fads, and that's what they are, they're just fads. They're just momentum plays. And, when you get caught, they go the other way very quickly, and they've already started to go. So all of these EV plays are already 50% off their highs. And, 3 months from now, we'll look at them, they'll be 80% off their highs. So, I think there's just a lot of fads that have been going on with the NASDAQ, with these SPACs, with these IPOs. People are just going to get caught with their pants down. And people have no idea how hard this thing's going to come down. GK wants to know about New Zealand US dollar. So I said in my weekly report over the weekend that the New Zealand dollar is the weakest currency on the board. And the dollar is the strongest right now. So, we've got a little support in the New Zealand dollar at 69.5. I would, sell into any rally here at GK. But, I'm not really trading the dollar pairs right now. I just think the dollar pairs are going to be like kind of in a trading range. When I get into a trade, I want to see visibility to a sizable move. And, like Zoom. I shorted Zoom at 350. I think I could get out of this trade at 150. So that'll be a huge trade. I'll make 7 figures on that trade. So, when I look for a trade, I look for something that's going to, move from one level to the other. And, I think that you could probably sell into a rally on New Zealand dollar. But, it's just right now, it's not worth occupying my mind space. One play that I do like is long dollar yen. So I think dollar yen is starting to break out of a long-term downtrend. So, I would, get short, get long dollar yen above today's high. Robert says, any thoughts on Alcoa? So again, those cyclicals will probably do a lot better than, other stocks. But, I'm not really in for, just something that's just going to play around. So, yeah, it looks okay. It's making new highs. It's a cyclical. That's where, the defensive positions of the market will go. So Eric says, could you please take a look at SOXL? Not quite sure what that is. Is that a stock? Yeah, it is. It's a semiconductor bull shares. Huh, interesting. Hard to tell up here. Let me just check this out. Whenever so it's obviously broken out to a new high here. My weekly, is that at $35? Wait a minute. There's something. No, it's at 545. Yeah, so look, this thing looks like it's, been going higher. There's a lot of volatility in this thing. So whenever I see volatility, to me, it suggests a bit of a change in direction. So I don't really have an opinion about that. This thing's obviously been going higher. There's, a trend line that this has been holding to. And, it's possible that this thing, still goes higher. Tony says, any thoughts on Starlink as an IPO? Until I see the price history, Tony, I won't know. And, if you're lucky to get in, with the investment bankers on the initial IPO, then you're probably lucky. If you buy it after the IPO, I wouldn't want to be holding on any IPOs right now. They all look pretty inflated to me. Russell says, when you trade on the Forex, do you tend to trade the currency pair or the options? So I do both, Russell. But typically there's, a lot of inherent leverage in currency pairs anyways. So you have so much leverage there anyways. So I typically trade. But, like the Aussie dollar, I bought some Aussie dollar calls several months ago because I just thought it was going to go, much higher. So I will do sometimes, option plays. But most of the time you get so much leverage anyways. You don't need to seek out more. Says, should we buy the SQQs? Probably. Like I said, the SQQs and the NASDAQ have been lagging, the story, but it does look like this thing is making a rounding bottom. I would wait to see how we close today and then buy above the high of today tomorrow, if we get momentum. So it looks like we have like an inside bar today. We'll have a narrow range today, maybe a key reversal, depending on how it goes. And then I would wait to see how that closes and then just put a buy stop above today's high. Unless we really kind of soar and we close well. Look, my instinct is you could buy it. So maybe you could buy a partial position now, with the proviso that you leave some in the bag, wait to see how it plays out, and then buy some more over today's high. It's always better to get market confirmation. Eric wants to look at FAS, but I do feel we're making a top in the NASDAQ, and so it would be a bottom on the SQQs. So FAS, this is the financial bull shares. This looks like sometimes I can see these patterns start forming before they've actually formed. And the neckline on this would be about 83, but it looks like this thing's making a double top. So I'd not be buying that. Look, I'm very scared of the market at these levels. Now the Dow and the S&P may still have some legs on them, but I think we're getting very close to a point where they're going to run into a brick wall. And then I'm very bearish the NASDAQ. So that's my position. It's been my position for a month now in the NASDAQ. I've made a ton of money buying QQQ put calls. QQQ put options. But you have to be, very nimble because they have these huge short covering rallies. So while I think we're in a stealth bull market, like I said, 10 minutes on Friday, we rallied 309 to 316. So people could say, well, why do you think this is, the down market? That's a huge up move. But that's what's happening. These short covering, and all it was a short covering rally, because you could see today there was like no follow through. And so that's what happens, when these markets, the short covering rallies are, they will rattle your teeth. So you just need to be prepared for them when you're short. So like everything else, but especially with options, your timing needs to be precise. So that's why, I'm kind of still waiting to see how we go here before I kind of put on any more QQQ options. Gamas says, can you take a look at Bitcoin? So look, Bitcoin is just hard to have an opinion about. We broke out from 4,000 to 61,000. It's just a huge parabolic market. And to my mind, it will end. It's just a question, does it end here or does it go to $100,000 first? But I do think, like all parabolic markets, it will end in tears, and it will have a huge crash. But it could go to $100,000 first. So right now it looks like it's holding on to an uptrend line. So the problem with Bitcoin is we don't have a lot of price history. And then the price history we have is just like something that just goes straight up. So very difficult to analyze something like that. But now we've got a little bit more history, and you can see that it's kind of bouncing off this ascending line. But if it starts turning below that, watch out. So I don't know. My wife loves these things. She's making a lot of money in them. I try and tell her to take some profits. She doesn't want to, but and then I look like an idiot because it keeps going higher. So let's see. Somebody asked about the S&P, David, the SPY. So I think the SPY is, at a top, if not very near a top. I mean, we got to close to 4,000. I thought maybe we could go to 4,200. Maybe we still can. But we're at a point where we're stalling out. So last week we went right back to the all-time high. And then today you got this itty-bitty narrow range bar. Now, to my mind, those narrow range bars, they look innocent. They look benign. But what they indicate to me is, what it says to me is that the market made a new move to a high last week. And then today, by virtue of this bar, we stalled. It means that the momentum toward the new highs just stopped, and we couldn't make any more progress. So today, it's a grinding affair where we keep bumping, but we can't make any progress to the upside. And when something kind of goes up and then it stalls, it can peter, then just peter out really quickly. So, and I do think we're at the top of an ascending, broadening price pattern in the S&P. So we may be able to make one more push higher. I would love it if it did. It just means I'd get a better price for my short. But I think we're stalling out on all of these market indexes, and we're days, if not weeks away from rolling over. And, we're looking at a 20, 30% move on the downside. And I'm the only one saying it. I listen to this freaking financial channel behind me all day long. Everybody says the same thing. We're having more stimulus than we ever have. We're having a 7% GDP economy. The economy is going to open and people are going to spend all this money and it's going to be so good for. But that's already priced into the market. The market is a discounting mechanism. The market knows all of that stuff already. And so what doesn't it know? And so that's what the patterns tell us. The patterns tell us that there's something else going on here that we'll only find out 3 months or 6 months from now. That's why I only follow price. You won't learn anything in the market. If you try and understand what is happening now, the market is about tomorrow. The market doesn't care about now. Alex says, hey, Mark, I really appreciate your content. Could you please give me advice as I entered the short of NASDAQ? So I think, Alex, I've been saying for 3-4 weeks, I think the NASDAQ's topped. It's just grinding lower. And, as I said, a bunch of second-tier NASDAQ stocks have already collapsed. There's already been a 30-50% crash in Peloton, in Zoom, in QuantumScape, in Snowflake, in DoorDash, in a million other companies, Tesla. And it's just the NASDAQ's being held up by 5 stocks that are still in good shape. Facebook still looks good. Google looks good. Apple, I think, is going to, start turning lower. Amazon. So they're 20% of the whole index. So it makes the index look like, hey, everything's okay. I'm just down a few percentage points. But if you look under the hood, at all of these second-tier stocks, they've collapsed. And guess what? They're going to collapse another 50%, after this. So Warren says market PE is 41. What is that PE on, Warren? Is that the general in the NASDAQ itself, or what is that PE? Well, if it's at 40, well, the NASDAQ is so. See, everything's about timing, right? Because for 20 years, Amazon never had a PE because it never had an E. Amazon didn't earn anything for 20 years. And yet, investment bankers threw trillions of dollars at it. The price kept going up and it had no E. So, and then once it had an E, some earnings, its price to thing was like 2000, but it was growing into its E. So, PEs and multiples are, it's all about timing. It's where are you in the cycle? So the problem with growth companies now is that we're very mature into the cycle. We had a huge push during Corona into a lot of these companies, which expanded their multiples. And now these companies are facing decelerating cash flows because they're going to make less than they did last year. And the interest rates have gone up. So a company is inherently worth the present value of its future income streams. So like Zoom has no earnings. So what the market does is it looks out 5 years and says, okay, if we grow at this, we'll grow into X percentage of earnings. But the problem now is that those earnings are coming down, those cash flows are coming down. And now those discounted revenue streams have to be discounted at a higher interest rate. So you get what's called a multiple compression, where the multiple's too high, the cash flow's coming down, the interest rate's too high, and all of that means is that you're going to get a freaking crash. So you can't really look at multiples. Multiples can be very deceptive. It can be high in one environment and low in another. But, you got to look at each company also. So. Cool says, pound New Zealand has run up. Do you think there's still further upside? So Cool, I think there's probably another 1,000 pips on the upside to go. We hit, a natural resistance area here at the 197, 198. There's a lot of, weekly resistance here. So I would just use these sell-offs to buy more. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, so we're coming lower. We got a huge key reversal, but I would just buy more. In fact, I'm going to. I'm just going to buy some more pound New Zealand into this sell-off. Oleg says, thank you very much for this kind of Q&A session, sharing your vision. Really appreciate it. You're welcome, Oleg. Lila, thank you. Lived, I've talked about oil. I've talked about oil for the last couple of weeks. It hit that $70 resistance. And if you look back on a multi-year chart, you'll see that there's just a wall of resistance at this $70. So it's like it's a distribution area. So I don't think it'll go down too much, but I also don't think it'll go up too much. So like I said, I look for things that are going to move. And once something starts getting locked up into a range, like these dollar trades or what have you, then I just move on. Eric wants to look at the TNA, which is the Russell 3 times ETF. Is this a bear or a bull ETF? Oh no, this looks like it's the Russell itself. And it looks like it's forming a head and shoulder. It's the left shoulder. The right shoulder is below the left, but it looks like in the neckline's right around, 70 or so. So it's the bull. So I think all of these stock markets are turning. I think they're all turning lower. Angeline, how long will dollar remain bullish before it goes down? Can't really answer that. I think that, I've been short Euro US dollar. My objective is about 116. It could go lower. And then dollar yen looks like it's ready to break out on the upside. I'm still not sure because I've been such a dollar yen bear I've made so much money on the downside, but it looks like we're starting to break out of a major inflection point. And the yen pairs look like they could be ready to go the other way. I don't know if it's a trap here, but it could be a sizable opportunity on the upside. Thoughts on the bank stocks? I think they've had a pretty good run, but they probably likely, will keep going up. I mean, Bank of America made a new high just a few days ago. Let me just look at this weekly. I think they consolidate, but they probably go higher. Whenever long rates go up, banks make money. So it's a great environment. It's just, Bank of America is at this, congestion zone between 36 and 39. The more it kind of just hangs out here and just consolidates, the healthier it'll be for another run. So, I think, the bank stocks are a pretty good place to, to hang out here. Let me just see what's going on with Zoom. It's just hanging. It's hanging on by its fingernails of an all-time low here. We got to 308, on Friday, ran up $11 on the close. We're back to 308 now. Anything under 308, man, there is just quicksand under here. Thoughts on pound US dollar. So again, I find these dollar pairs kind of unsexy right now. So I'm not looking at them. They're very range bound. I think the pound is likely to go higher against the US dollar, but I think it just could be in a trading range it could be another several weeks. So the only dollar pairs that I like right now is dollar yen higher. And that's about it. And then Euro US dollar lower. Gamal wants to know about Goldman Sachs, GS. It's had a huge run. It's been up 150% this year. Hit 356. Looks like we're taking a breather. You probably could buy the pullbacks. It looks like it's pretty, it's put in a good top here. So I would kind of leave that alone for now. If you haven't made your money in that already, I'd kind of leave that alone. Do you trade ES futures? I trade the spot indexes, Finley, and then I also trade the QQQs, through put options. And then I'm short a bunch of stocks. So, I play the NASDAQ in all kinds of ways. I don't play the futures right now, no. Zoom now 309.37. Yeah, it's hanging on by its fingernails. Anything under 308, and there's nothing below that. There's nothing but air below that. This thing's going to need a a safety net, because it's this is a high wire act with no. So the next level of support is right around 277. But I think we're going to get cut in half in Zoom. I've been saying that for a month. I'll say it today, tomorrow, a week from now. Alex says, could you please let us know the trading packages you offer? Just go ahead and message our support team. I don't really look at the business side of it, believe it or not. I make most of my money trading. I do the business side because I enjoy it. I enjoy communicating. Ideas. So I don't even know what we offer, when we offer it, to tell you the truth. Dee says, do you ever buy calls when you buy stock? Yeah. So I buy options options are all about timing, right? I don't really do a lot of like hedging where I buy an out of the money call and out of money put, try and capture premium. What I try and do is I use options as more leverage if I see an opportunity. Like 7 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago, almost to the day, I've been looking at the stock of Lyft for a long time, LYFT. It had a massive double bottom at the $15 area, broke out the neckline at $40, broke out, went into a lengthy consolidation, and then it turned down. It went down from 50 down to 44. And to me, instead of being scared of that decline, I viewed that as a massive opportunity. And then it put in a double bottom right at the $44 area. And so at $44, I bought 7,500 shares, and I bought the $46 calls for $1 and like the $47 calls for $1.50. This is when the stock was around 45 and a half, 44 and a half, 45. So the 46 calls were like $1 out of the money. By the end of the week, Lyft closed at $53. So my $46 calls that I paid $1 for, I got out at $7. I made 700% in 3 days. And I still had the 47s. I still had the stock. So I buy calls and puts when I see that there's an opportunity and that the opportunity is right now. Because, the more time you go out in options, the more expensive it gets. So typically, I'm only buying these options like a week out, which means that you got to be right in that week. And there's been many times where, my options have, expired almost worthless. And yet I was exactly correct about the call, about, my view on that, my analysis. But, I've made, a ton. So, it's just cost of doing business. You're just going to lose some, but you got to be prepared when you buy puts and calls that you're going to lose, you could lose every cent that you put up. What do you think about PayPal, Cyprian? So, this was the one that I was, kind of pissed that I didn't catch on the way up. But now, I think that you've got a massive double top, head and shoulders, and you're going to get hit like everything else. PayPal looks like it's 236. It looks like it'll go to 200. So I'm going to probably get another chance to buy it at 100, 175 or something. Rebecca says, what do you think of UVXY? So this is an inverse ETF to the S&P. So while the S&P has been making new highs, the UVXY is making new lows. This is 1.5 times the S&P. So I think you're trying to dig in here. And, look, it's a $6 number. You can just hang out in here. And I think you're not too far from a top in the S&P. So you're not too far from a bottom in UVXY. It may take a little bit, but I think you're digging in here, the $6 level. Buy it here, put $1 stop, and, you could probably see it at 12. So I think it's a great risk reward to buy it here. You just may need a little time. Warren says, do you still like pound yen? So like I said, these yen pairs are flirting at major resistance levels. And it's a question, is that resistance turned into a resistance, or is this just, so I think it's just a consolidation area. And I think, pound yen, probably will go higher long term, but it's going to be a lot of volatility here. Between 52 and 55, there's a ton of resistance. So you're going to see this back and forth. And to my mind, I would buy the dips in that kind of environment. Samir, I don't know what you're trying to say or ask. Euro yen, the same thing as pound yen. I think these things are looking like they want to go higher. We've got a kind of a key reversal on euro yen today where we went lower. We'll see how we close. And then I would probably buy it over today's high. Says, would you buy put options? The put options in Zoom are too expensive. So I've wanted to buy put options in Zoom all the way down, and they're just too expensive. It's too much risk. You don't get enough leverage. So when I get an option, I want to see that I'm going to make minimum 3 times what I'm putting up, 5, 7. So I've been buying these QQQs at 1 and getting out of 10. So that's, what I kind of look for in my plays. So Zoom just, the options are just too expensive. So, I've just, put all of my money in just being short the stock. I have almost 10,000 shares short Zoom stock, which is, a $3 million commitment. But to me, it's just like no risk. I don't even wake up and think about it. Kirby says, do you ever do spreads on puts? Yeah, I do. Yeah, so Scott, yeah, I can't, maybe, to capture premium is the way to go in Zoom. But I'm just looking for a free fall, so I'm not trying to limit my upside if I'm right. Eric says, what would be a good entry point for JPM? And then I'm probably going to take off after this. So JPM's in this consolidation now between 145 and 160 on the upside. And the more it kind of consolidates, I would look to kind of buy it on a dip. But it's if you haven't made money from now, I don't know how much money's left on the table. So Samir, I don't know what you're trying to say other than creating a distraction here. So please don't do that. So any other questions? Otherwise, I want to wish you guys a great rest of your trading day. I think it's kind of a sell rallies environment in these, indexes, but, because the indexes kind of closed pretty squirrely on Friday, I like to see something definitive where I see a key reversal. So I understand where my risk reward is. And since I don't, I'm not really doing anything in the indexes right now. Like I said, I'm short Zoom. I'm long the puts of this theater chain AMC, which is up about 10 cents today. I might short some of the stock today. And I'm short Peloton. I'm short the stock Coupa Software, COUP. I'm short IPGP. So just a bunch of NASDAQ stocks. Yeah, Kirby, I agree. Thank you very much for that. Al says, can you check cash? I don't know if is that an actual symbol? Probably is. Cash is Meta Financial Group. I don't know. It's just in this trading zone. Doesn't look like a buy or a sell right now. All right, guys. Hopefully I'll see you back soon. Have a great day. And, I'll see you the next time. Thank you.